Hi, everyone. This is Richard Gerhardt, founder of Gerhardt Law, a full-service intellectual property law firm. Welcome again to Passage to Profit, your favorite show about entrepreneurs, businesses, and intellectual property.
Probably one of the few. Nobody else would want to do this. I'm Elizabeth Gerhardt. I work at Gerhardt Law. I do marketing. I'm not an attorney. I am a patent agent, but those days are kind of behind me. And we are so thrilled to have a wonderful set of people here. I'm just so excited about the show, really.
It was some fantastic guests, and really, as in Passage to Profit tradition, a really broad spectrum of projects and ideas and technologies. So something for everybody tonight. But before we get to our guests, let's go to IP in the news.
Okay, so this actually came out in April, but in April, we weren't into taping regularly because we're still trying to figure all this quarantine stuff out. But it's worth mentioning now. So you've probably heard the word blockchain, cryptocurrency, all that stuff. Well, it's kind of complicated. It's a financial thing, but Microsoft did write a patent application that they have submitted to the patent office that published in April, where you could be sitting there working online and maybe an ad comes up and maybe you look at that ad. And so they're coming up with a way to measure you looking at that ad by your body heat or hooking you up to instruments or whatever, and then using that to verify these are the people looking at your ad and putting it as a piece of a blockchain for advertisers.
So the scary part about this is that they say you can either wear the sensor or have it implanted in the person who's looking at it. So
what have they been saying about Bill Gates lately?
So this is like taking advertising to a whole new level. I mean, if you're a marketing person, right, the return on investment on marketing has always been like the holy grail. You want to understand, is your advertising reaching people? And what they've developed now is a technology that they can put on every single person and figure out what they're looking at and if they're reading the whole ad, and then I guess monitoring behavior afterwards, and that way they can find out if their ads are really working, right?
Right. And I have to give credit to the author who published this so that I could find it. It was Adam Smith, and he did it in PC Mag back in April. The application is called Cryptocurrency System Using Body Activity Data. So as I've said, I usually talk about Apple, but these tech companies are really innovation
They're taking
companies,
over the world.
and they're moving us closer and closer to Star Trek every time.
The weird thing about it is if you participate in the program, and this has not been commercialized or fully developed yet.
It's not even a patent yet. It's an application.
But they give you cryptocurrency credits for watching the advertisements. So Bitcoin, everybody's kind of heard about those things. You don't get real money for this, but you do get cryptocurrency, which who knows, may be worth something someday, somehow, someplace.
So we'll see where it goes. I would like to get paid for people using my data for advertising. That would be nice.
Yeah, and also for that implant they want to put in your head.
Yeah, that's not happening. They probably wouldn't want to put it in mine.
Okay, well, we've beaten that one to death.
Okay.
So now we're on to Patent Palooza. And this is where a lot of people will turn the radio off. But please
well, you can
don't
try
do
to
that.
make it entertaining.
We'll try to make it entertaining. But the moral of the story is the paperwork that you file with your patent can be life or death for the existence of the patent. So most people, they think about, the patent itself, the text, the drawings, the claims, all that kind of stuff. And what the substance of the patent is the most important thing. And normally it is. But the documents that you file with the Patent and Trademark Office that go along with the patent also have to be right. And so the story is that there's this technology out there called CRISPR. And if you're a really geeky scientist type person, you know that CRISPR is like on the cutting edge of biotechnology. And what CRISPR allows you to do, it's a tool. It allows you to sequence and cut off pieces of DNA and chromosomes and then replace them with something else. So it's the set of tools that you can use to make genetic modifications, which is useful for medicines and curing diseases, right?
Like COVID.
Like COVID, yeah, absolutely. So they were having a big patent fight about the CRISPR patents in Europe.
And it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, these patents came from the Broad, which is this collaboration between Harvard University and MIT. And they have about 10 patents, and these are like considered the holy grail of science and technology engineering. And so they were having a patent fight about it in Europe. And it turns out that some of the filing documents that they used were incorrect. They had made some mistakes on the filing documents. And because the filing documents were incorrect, they didn't get the original date of filing of the patents. They had to accept a later filing date. And because of that, new patents could be used as prior art to invalidate the patent. So the bottom line is a few tiny mistakes, and they were really tiny mistakes, on the filing papers, on the documents that were submitted to the patent office, resulted in two of these 10 really significant patents from completely being invalidated. And
that was probably worth a few $1 million.
Oh, I would say it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, you know, you can argue on the positive side that, okay, this opens the technology up to other people, but the Broad was always very generous about giving licenses to people to use this for scientific research, but it also, they lose control because they don't have the patents anymore. So let that be a lesson to you. If you're filing intellectual property, make sure that your patent professional, your trademark professional ask them, are all the filing documents right? And because they're sometimes difficult to read, but can be really important in the grand scheme of things.
Right. It's amazing how complicated this stuff gets and how every tiny little thing has to be perfect. That's why very few people go into patent law.
That's right. You have to be a little bit of a nut to like this stuff, but we do, and we're good at it at Gerhardt Law. And this is the most extreme example of how a few tiny mistakes in paperwork have resulted in the destruction of some of the most important patents filed in recent years. So,
yes.
So there you go. That's Patent Palooza.
So with that, we'll go to our first break. But if you've listened to that, please don't leave, because the next segment.
We really do have interesting things coming up.
Chris Pan is our guest for the next segment, and he has created a movement, and a ton of celebrities are doing it. And it's something that seems simple, but the energy behind it has made it fabulous. And I can hardly wait to talk about it. We'll be right back. Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710, the Voice of New York, with Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt. And our special guest today, Chris Pan. Chris invented something that seems kind of simple, but has taken off because the emotion and just the love around it and everything has just captured people. So, Chris, please tell us about My Intent.
Well, the easiest way to understand my intent is to, if I can help you find your word. So the idea is, we pick a word that we want to focus on for the coming days, weeks, months, as an inner journey to find out who we are. Because, so much of our lives, we live in this busy, we're busy. And it's rare that we take a pause and just look inside to see what makes things worthwhile. So if you all want to just take a moment, take a deep breath in with me. Just let it out. And so I'll ask you a couple quick questions. If you think about somebody you really admire, what is it that you admire about this person? What's a quality or a virtue that you admire about somebody that you admire that maybe you want to bring into your life? Is it to be more patient? Is it to be more kind, more compassionate? What's that one word that you might want to embody? Second question could be, if you think about a challenge in your life right now, what would it take to overcome that challenge? Maybe more resilience, determination, or maybe it's just to let go more and just allow and just trust. And the third question that I'd like to ask, and the final question is, what are you most passionate about and what makes you feel alive? Maybe it's just a reminder to sing, to dance, to play, to create, to paint. So these are three very simple questions that we often ask people to help them find a word that would inspire them to just remember to do that one thing that will make life just more exciting and more meaningful. So do you guys all have your words?
That was very interesting exercise. And I want to say I cheated a little bit, though, because I saw your videos last night and I already picked my word. So I'll go first. My word is passion. And I don't know why, honestly, that word popped into my head last night when we were watching, some of your previous appearances. But for some reason, it just resonated with me. And what is so funny is that I'm can be very indecisive sometimes. So lots of times I will be like, oh, maybe that's not, sort of by picking a word, you kind of exclude other words, right? So that's the hard part, right? Because you don't want to just be like a one-word person, right? You want to be, there's multiple sides to us, right? So, but I picked passion, and that's my word. And so that's what I'm sticking with.
So I think my word is going to be determination, because I started this new project company in October, and I pivoted, of course, for COVID, but it's going great. But it's a lot of work, and I have some help. I don't have any money for it, really, not much, and I don't have some of the help that I really need. So I have to figure out how to power through and be determined just to make it go, because I'm actually having a lot of fun with it. I enjoy doing it. It's a wonderful project, and the people that I'm working with on it, that I interview people, love it too. So I am going to say determination, because I do my, the entrepreneur ups and downs, right? And I need the determination when I'm down.
Beautiful.
And I'll say my word is purpose. We've had all this time I've been working from home for the last almost 6 months. And I've had a lot of time to just kind of sit and be still and kind of realign, my thoughts and just my intent on things. And I would say like this, I feel like this is definitely a season that's made me like hyper focus on like, what's the bigger picture and like kind of what does all this mean? So I would definitely say that purpose is my word.
My word is serenity. I think all of us are entrepreneurial, and we all, have passion and all these things that drive us. And I think for myself, I want to bring more serenity into all areas of my life, even though we're very busy and we can be driven. We can all bring a little more serenity into it.
Listening to your exercise, the word trust you said really jumped out at me. And I think from the idea of just, especially in COVID times, being able to trust in ourselves, in our abilities, in our knowledge, and knowing that we can get through this, that we can find the way out of this craziness that we're living in right now, either personally or in our business or in our relationships. So I think I really identified with the word trust.
My words will be dedication. So I think as an entrepreneur, I think when you put your mind to it and you dedicate it to what you're doing, and it's always come out successful. So yeah, dedication is my word.
Just listening to you, I think the word I choose is patience. And during this time of COVID, it has actually allowed me to be able to do that. I'm one of those people that when I do something, I need it to happen right away. And a lot of times I make that mistake and make that decision. And then everyone always tells me, take your time, think about it, and the right decision will come to you. So that's something that I need literally imprinted everywhere in my life. So I remember to be patient. And I think I would have been able to derail from a lot of mistakes I've made if I had more patience.
So Chris, what would be the next step then? Now we have our words. So now what do we do with them?
You can write it on a Post-it note, put it on your mirror. You can change your password, so that every day you log in, you remind that, or you can get it on a bracelet. At myintent.org, we have bracelets, necklaces, and we wear a watch on our left hand, for example, and energetically, the left side of our body, it represents it's the receiving side. So we all receive time. And if you put a bracelet on with your word on your right hand, it's your intentional side. It's what you do with that time. and it's the lesson we're meant to learn in this moment. We're here on earth, with a lesson plan, and you get to decide it's choose your own adventure, choose your own lesson. And so, whether it's serenity, whether it's trust, whether it's patience, determination, dedication, these are things that it's like an inner workout for us. It's instead of going to the gym and doing push-ups, these are the inner lessons that we're doing.
I love that so much.
Tell us the story about your company. And I know that you kind of kicked things off with Jay-Z. Is that right? Is that how the whole thing kind of started?
That took it to a whole nother level. Yeah. I started making these for friends and family for about a year and bumped into Jay-Z. He loved the idea. Then he said, hey, can you come and make these at a brunch I'm hosting for my friends, which included Beyonce, Rihanna, Kanye, and I made it for them. And then 3 months later, on the cover of the Time 100, there was a photo of Kanye wearing his bracelet. So if you go back to the April 2015 issue, you'll see Kanye with his bracelet on the cover very prominently. And that happened at a very serendipitous time when I was really, thinking about, well, is this project really what I want to work on? And, the sales were pretty slow. We were very busy a couple times a year, especially around the holidays. But, by kind of February, March, it was pretty quiet. And seeing that cover really gave it new energy. And then we ended up being on the Today Show and so forth. But that made a huge difference. That one encounter. And I often share with my team that, each intention we put out there, they're just like little seeds. Every time we help someone set an intention, and an intention is really a seed. If you think about it, it's an intention to be something or do something. And we don't know which seed becomes the big tree, the oak tree, and which seed is a redwood, and which seed maybe never germinates. But our job is just to plant a lot of seeds, and then we'll see, it's up to other forces how they germinate. And that one in particular was big.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know you have to support yourself, so you do make some revenue from this, but that's not really your purpose in this, right? Your purpose is really to start a movement among people to really focus on what's important. Is that how you would say it?
Yeah, this is a service project for me. I had a whole career in tech at Facebook, and so I have that as the support of how I live. And this is my way to give back to the world and just helping us have that reminder, when times are tough, especially right now. There's a lot of uncertainty, there's a lot of turbulence. And I've gotten so many stories about how this is that anchor to keep us grounded in our truth, especially when things feel, just really challenging. And I've had so many stories of folks when they're in the middle of that despair, that moment of, just a really tough time, they look down on their wrist and they see that they've chosen to have faith, they've chosen to have hope, and it gets them through that moment.
And we had talked earlier, so I felt like I had about 20 words. It was hard to decide. But you don't just, I think that you need to focus in on one thing, but you can change it as your needs change, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had probably 30 some words over the years. And I think of each word as a different lesson that I've decided to embark on.
So Chris, you seem so calm and centered. Has this always been the way you've been? Has working on this project sort of put you in a different place where you can be, sort of more in tune with the environment? It's
been a practice over the years of mindfulness, of some meditation, breath work, and just listening to ourselves and listening to each other. So it's something I was craving, and I've been very fortunate to have met many teachers in the space who've shared these practices with me.
So the other thing that I think is really awesome about this is that you let people make their own. You have kids. So if somebody has a kids group, say, I don't know when that'll ever happen again, hopefully soon, and they want to teach the kids something about themselves, each one of them could use your kit and make their own word right on the spot.
Yeah, that was really important. We started off by offering the bracelets, but I knew that wasn't ultimately the most fulfilling part of it. It's actually being able to, because you have to order it, you wait a week, it shows up. But if you have the tools to actually stamp the letters into the bracelet, you can have it right there in that moment. And that's the greatest joy, is to be able to make it for someone on the spot. And so when I decided to offer the maker kit. It was a big investment. And, people questioned me saying, well, aren't you giving away the secret sauce? Aren't you giving away the coffee maker? And I said, well, actually, that's the whole point, is to allow people to have that joy. So we have over 60,000 people that have purchased one of these maker kits. And we had a story recently, this is last year, someone from the National Institute of Health, the hospital in DC, the director of community there makes it for the patients. And, if you imagine the patients who are going through cancer treatment, different treatments that are really tough, she shared that this is helping make the intangible tangible. So there was a little boy there. He put the word faith and hope on his bracelet. And then when the first lady visited him, he also made the same for her on a necklace to kind of have, this was a Valentine's Day gift. And she was really moved and ended up inviting him, to visit her at the White House. And so we have so many of these stories where, it's more than a bracelet. This is really tapping into the human spirit.
I love that so much. I was just going to say, it's probably a very powerful conversation piece. Super quick, because I feel like the term mindfulness gets thrown around a lot. What would you say mindfulness means for you if you had to describe it?
Simply just being in tune with myself, and being thoughtful and being intentional about things. I think because of the hecticness of life, we run on autopilot a lot, and being mindful simply just means we get to choose how we want to respond in every moment and how we want to use our time and our decisions.
Myintent.org is where you can order a bracelet, a necklace, a kit.
That's the heart of it. That's our main tool. And then we have some live sessions from time to time. It's really about the practice. And even if you don't order anything, it's just come spend some time on the site just to find your word. And it's a practice. And if you want a bracelet, that's great. If not, you can write your word on a Post-it note or just, make it your screensaver.
Awesome. Well, Chris will be staying with us for the rest of the show. So I love this. This is amazing. It's what we need right now, what we've always needed. So anyway, we have to go to break, and we'll be back with more of Passage to Profit and amazing stuff coming up. So you're listening to WOR 710, the voice of New York.
So welcome back, listeners. This is Richard and Elizabeth Gerhardt, as usual, on Passage to Profit. Our media maven, Kenya Gibson, and our very special guest this evening, Chris Pan from My Intent. Right now, we have a couple of entrepreneurs from the company Buttercloth, Bob Stevens and Don Tran, and they're welcome to the show. They're going to be talking about their new apparel.
Thanks for inviting us to the show. Buttercloth has been a journey for the last few years. There couldn't have been a better name for the fabric, but Buttercloth is world's most comfortable shirt. And there's, to tell you the quick story, Dan, my partner, grew up in Vietnam. By the time he was 10 years old, he was sewing his own clothes. He literally grew up in a tailor shop where his mom and dad operated this. And they, of course, didn't want him to get into the fashion business. They'd rather him be an accountant or something. But he had a dream, and his dream was to come to America and be a fashion designer. And little did he know that 10 years from then, he would get that opportunity when his family got the opportunity to come. He didn't have a lot of money, but he saved every penny, worked his way through college, and was so talented that immediately got offers from some major brands as a designer. Spent literally 20 years in that space, was a head designer at a major brand for 10 years. And during that time, he had this inspiration, which was that he would go to every meeting, he would wear a dress shirt, but as soon as he would get out of the meeting, he'd put his t-shirt back on because he just didn't like that scratchy, stiff feeling. And one day he said to himself, why can't I design a shirt that looks like this beautiful dress shirt, but feels like that t-shirt? And it inspired him. He went to China, and long story short, he worked with the best mills over there and invented this wonderful fabric that has this special 6-way stretch and breathability that he eventually called Buttercloth. The company got noticed by Shark Tank. That's part of our story. We got onto the show. Robert Herjavec loved Dan so much and the product that he invested $250,000, and the rest is kind of history.
Wow, that's really a great story, and it's really inspirational for all of our entrepreneurs to come from another country, to have a dream. Sometimes it means moving past what your family or your culture thinks is the best for you. Sometimes that's the hardest part about being an entrepreneur. The people that you look to for support also worry that it's such a difficult journey that it could not end, well. So amazing story. So tell us about the fabric and what makes it special.
Like Bob mentioned, that dressers is really stiff and scratchy, and I hate wearing it. And I have an experience in with fabric mill in China, and I come to them and I tell them that I need a fabric that is feel like very comfortable, like a t-shirt, your favorite t-shirt. Can you make the fabric for me? Like most fabric is just they finish it outside, you feel it's smooth, but the inside they unfinished it is kind of rough. So that's why when you wear it's kind of rough and scratchy. And then I tell them, what if you finish both sides, inside and outside, because the inside part is touching your skin. We want to feel that smooth and soft. And they say, that's really hard to do. It's gonna take a lot experiment. And then one day they call me back and they say, we figured out we had to buy the whole row of needles and add to the machine, and in order to finish both sides of the fabric, and that's gonna cost a lot. And they say, I asked them how much, and they I say no problem. Just go ahead and get it and put it in and make that fabric for me. And then a month later, they call me and I fly over to China and try that fabric on, try the shirt on. I'm like, oh my God, I have something going on. And I call Bob, they say, Bob, we better trademark this right away. We better get the name trademark right away. I'm gonna bring back the shirt so you try it on for me. And then when Bob tried it on, and he I never see his eye bleed up like that. And then they say, we have something, we better get going quick. That's how Buttercloth started.
So the shirts literally feel like butter.
Yes.
They do.
It's funny. It makes me think of remember Saturday Night Live, that Mike Myers skit he used to do with Coffee Talk, and he would be like Barbara Streisand. Her voice is like butter. So your shirts have that same effect.
Yes. Uh-huh.
One thing I'll have to say is that, you do have to be careful, what experts you listen to as you're building your business. You just want to put some filters on it, because we had a number of people, both legal people and marketing people, tell us, oh, you have to change the name. Buttercloth, no, never work.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, and we stuck with it. We persevered. We did get the trademark on it. It took a couple of tries. We did get it. And marketing wise, of course, those guys were way wrong. It's the perfect name for it.
So it would be hard to get a trademark on that because it's got cloth in it, right?
That's right. The trick ended up being, originally Buttercloth was 2 words. And it ended up, once we shortened it to 1 word, for some reason it made the difference, and they let it go through.
So do you have it trademarked around the world or just in the US?
We do.
So around the world you have
Yes.
So the secret to this, and I didn't realize this, is that when you're making cloth, there's one side, I guess, that's finished. That's the outside. Mm-hmm. So in order to get the buttercloth effect, you're really like weaving both sides, right?
Yes, correct.
So the finished part that you would normally be external is also internal. And
yes,
that's a really
right.
creative
Mm-hmm.
to approach that issue. That's very impressive. What about seams, though? Don't they add to the irritation when you're wearing it?
That's a good question. Yes, there's several machines you can finish the inside with the seam. The way we do it, we also clean finish the seam as well, so you don't. It's not gonna irritate your skin.
So what kind of fabric are these made from then?
100% cotton. That's the finest yarn you can find on the market.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing because there's cotton and there's cotton and there's cotton and there's cotton. Like you,
That's right.
right? Like one cotton shirt feels like cardboard and the other one feels like buttercloth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is 100% long fiber cotton, which is a very similar cotton to how what they would use it like Egyptian sheets. They're very, very fine yarn.
Do you
And
make them for women?
hopefully next year we're gonna come out with women line.
So what is your ultimate vision? Like, what do you see happening with this? And also, how do you give back as a brand?
It's all about comfort, providing comfort. We say that, people come to the Buttercloth brand because of what we say about comfort, but then they come back for the style because, it's nice when you can deliver more than you promise. And that's really what we do. They bought it because of what we said about the comfort, but when they get it, they go, wow, this is nicer than I thought it would be. Both in the feel, the touch, the look, all of the hidden detail that's in it. So it's the combination of comfort, but with the style. So again, we always say Buttercloth is about making you feel like or look like a Friday night, but feel like a Sunday morning.
That's great.
I love that tagline. Are you doing any give back to the community?
We was donate with Torch Foundation, which is the foundation really good that help teenager kid that have a trouble and thinking about their future, and they have a really great program that training like all those kids that prepare for them that for their future. So most of the kids there have a rough life, so that is really good foundation that we supporting right now. And on the other hand, I always support the school I went to, which is Otis. So we all often donate them and come there and teach all the kids as well.
Dan's long-term goal is to give back by someday being able to bring young designers to help them move into this space.
Well, that's really great. Unfortunately, we're running out of time for this segment, but we'll be right back. You're listening to Passage to Profit, WOR 710, the voice of New York. Well, welcome back to Passage to Profit, everyone. Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart on iHeartRadio. It is now time for one of my favorite segments on the radio. Kenya Gibson from iHeart is going to be doing her Cultivate segment. Kenya, what do you have for us this week?
So I'm really excited because, Cultivate is all about people who are making a contribution to the culture, whether it's through innovation, whether it's through entrepreneurship. And one of the people that I wanted to talk about and highlight this week is Derek Grace. So Forbes this week has been highlighting him. Derek is a best-selling author. He's a serial entrepreneur. And he's a full-time dad who makes about $1.5 million a month. He teaches people entrepreneurship, has a mentorship program, and is working with a lot of celebrities on how to build different platforms and businesses on the back end. And he recently launched Grace Robotics, which is a robot company, which I think is very cool and interesting. So if you want to check that out, you can follow Grace Robotics on Instagram. But I like Derek for a lot of different reasons because he doesn't fit the mold of your traditional entrepreneur. He's someone who has come from a challenging background and has not let those limitations hold him back. And he has 1 million tattoos, which I love, right? So he breaks that whole mold of like what an entrepreneur should look like, and what that stereotypical image that's there. So he's been breaking the mold in all different respects. And I'm so excited to be able to talk about him today. And we should actually have him up here on the show. I think he would be great to have a conversation with.
So what kind of robot? Are they like taking over the world yet, or?
Probably. I don't know a whole lot about the robots itself, but they're like little robots. They have 4 legs. I've actually seen them. I think they do all these like little different tasks. But it's a space that he felt was important to invest in and expand. And with everything moving to AI and technology, I mean, this is just the next phase of where we're going. I mean, robots, I do believe, have a place in our future. So hopefully not in a scary way, but he definitely is a visionary and gets it, and definitely stays ahead of the curve when it comes to inventions.
That's really great to hear that story. Where can we find out more about him?
Yeah, so he has a website. It's Derek Grace. So it's Derek Grace II. He's, a huge influencer on social media. One of the things I will say is he's definitely who he is. He speaks his mind. So just be open for that, right? He's not your cookie cutter, politically correct person. But I love that about him, because I feel like he's a straight shooter. He shares his truth, whether you align with it or not. He's coming from a real place, and he wants to help people, and he's making a lot of positive contributions to the culture. I think, we're all faced with this new reality, and we're not sure what that's going to look like. And I think one of the things that COVID has taught us is that, we can't throw all of our eggs in one basket, and we can't be codependent on any specific system. And we need to stay creative and stay, thinking ahead of what's there. And I think it has created this human touch again, where we're not so caught up in the superficial things, and not to knock celebrities. I'm not here to say that those things aren't important, but I feel like people are having real life problems and they need real life solutions.
The more authentic the personality, the stronger the connection, and the better ability to relate. Thank you for that, Elizabeth. Tell us about Fireside.
So if you've watched this or listened to this before, you know that in October I decided to start a new business called Fireside Directory. And I found a videographer, Angela, who's here with us today. And I started doing interviews of small business owners. I was going to start with attorneys, and Angela was my videographer. We did it in our studio here in Summit, New Jersey. And then COVID hit, and I decided to expand to all small business owners and do Zoom videos. So what I'm building is a YouTube channel and a website that is a video directory of small business. And what I want, and I'm transcribing all the videos, what I want to build is the Wikipedia of small business on video. So I do have people from all over because I'm meeting them on social media. So I have one person is from London who's on there. And I do want to make this as big as possible. And the reason I expanded it was because I found that everybody was really bummed out when this hit in March. All the small business owners were like, what now? And they needed to talk about their business. And it was going to start out 30-second clips of just really short interviews with business owners, and it's turned into stories. So it's more the story of a person's business, the story of themselves. So they're about 10 minutes long. And I figure if somebody doesn't want to watch the whole thing, so what? They can flip to the next one. So I am compiling them on this website called Fireside Directory. It's fireside.directory, and my YouTube channel is Fireside Directory. It's a blue flame. Kenya actually helped me with the logo, and she thought up the tagline, Igniting Connections. Like, she is so brilliant. And I've been building interviews. I'm getting close to having 50 people on the site. And when that happens, then I'm going to start trying to bring people to the site to find professionals. But it's really a fascinating snapshot of this time in history with small business too, because everybody's talking about how they've had to pivot for COVID, and everything is going virtual. So people that might have just had a client, say in New Jersey somewhere, are now reaching out all over the States or even across the world.
Yeah, and one of the great things is that if you're looking to hire an accountant or a business coach, you get to hear them and what they're like and what's important to them and their priorities in a way that you may not be able to get just by looking at a bio on a website, right? And then it helps the consumer find the right person for them sooner without having to make a lot of calls. So if you're an entrepreneur, you know how important it is to be efficient with your time, and Fireside also, fills that need.
Well, and Chris, to your point, the way I'm giving back is it's all free. It's free for the videos, interviews. It's free to be on the site. When things get better, I may start charging a subscription fee. I don't know when that's going to be. And if people want better videos, I can set them up with Angela and we can redo them. And people may want to redo them after COVID. But right now, it's just free. It's a place for people to talk about their businesses.
So that's great. So that was a fantastic description of Fireside once again. And Kenya, thank you too. We have to take a commercial break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back, listeners. You are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710 iHeartRadio. And if you missed the beginning of our show, you really missed some fabulous content. This has just been a wonderful show so far, but we have a podcast. So tune in tomorrow for our podcast. You can find it on iHeart, other places, but go to the iHeart app and download the Passage to Profit podcast for this show, and you'll be able to hear everything you missed.
You can listen to it 100 times.
But now, okay, can I preface this by saying I love pistachios. Every holiday season in the winter, I make pistachio cookies. I want to introduce Shauna Ahmadian with Cronuts.com, and she has pistachios. Welcome, Shauna.
Hi, thank you. So my name is Shauna. I'm the owner of Cronuts. We are a pistachio-based snack that's located in California. We grow and sell our own pistachios in Bakersfield. So we come from a line of pistachio growers. Well, about 7 or 8 years of it. I started this company roughly around 8 years ago without any knowledge in the grocery industry. I actually was in law school. It was my last year of law school that I thought, okay, law is not for me. It's not anything I want to do. And, I come from a line where parents were, okay, you have to either be a lawyer or a doctor. So the fact that I didn't become a lawyer or a doctor, I think my father's still mad at me right now. But anyway, so I, without really knowing anything about industry, we have pistachios. So I figured why not come out with a brand or a product that everyone already loves. And we came out with Cronuts, and they're flavored pistachios with added probiotics. We have 7 flavors. We have 3 sweet and 4 savory. I first started launching this in Canada, and over the course of the years was able to get them launched in the US and get into distribution in the US, parts of it in Japan. And we were the first company to actually add probiotics into anything other than yogurts and drinks. So it was something that we were the market setters for that.
How the decision to add probiotics?
When I first came out with it, I knew everyone loved pistachios, but I wanted to add some sort of twist to it. And about 7-8 years ago, probiotics were just making a way into the market and thought it would be a nice twist to add them. And it ended up just being one of the main taggers that, got our products out into the market to where people really were looking at it because it was something different.
Are you direct to consumer as well, or just
Yes.
Nice?
Yeah, so we're direct to consumer, and we're selling to distributors, retailers, everything kind of in between.
So I'm just curious, how do you get the probiotics into the nuts? Do you do it when they're growing?
One at a time. You have a little needle.
No, we do get asked that question a lot. It's we've implemented it into our coatings and into our seasoning. The application of it is something that, we don't really tell anyone, just because then everyone would copy us, and, we wouldn't want that.
Yes,
So
you have a trade secret.
Yes.
A trade secret, right. What's your most popular flavor?
It would be the habanero and the dark chocolate. Those are our 2 number 1 sellings. And in between was maybe smoked Gouda.
Oh, man. You're kind of doing what the Lay's potato chips did, where they started adding all these flavors that consumers requested.
Yes.
Like, what's your, in terms of marketing, like, what have you been doing, push it out? Like, how are people finding out about it?
Absolutely. We do a lot of social media marketing, a lot of Facebook ads, a lot of social media or Instagram ads. We work with a PR company that actually just got us featured in the US Health and News. So that was pretty awesome for us. So just stuff like that to push it out as much as we can.
So do you have recipes too for some of these pistachio flavors?
We work with a lot of different chefs or bloggers who will take the pistachios, for instance, the milk chocolate ones, and use them in cakes or cookies, add them in different sorts of things. The salty ones, they make chicken breaded with pistachios. So they kind of implement them in a lot of different recipes, which is actually something that's popular on our Instagram feed. So they're fun to do.
For people listening to this, like I am going, oh my gosh, I want to see these recipes right now. Pronutz.com is that your Instagram handle as well?
Our Instagram handle is Cronuts Official.
What do you need help with right now? Like, how can we be most supportive?
It's not enough time to even go through all the things we need help on. One of the biggest difficulties that I've had as a company is maybe not so much now, but was to get into retail. And in the beginning, it was the chicken and the egg. The retailers wanted you to be in distribution. Distributors wanted you to be in retail. So trying to get or, pass through that was so difficult. It was like, how can you do that? So I think for us right now, we try to keep everything in-house. And maybe the biggest help that we would need is just for retailers to maybe think, hey, let's just go direct with these brand and not necessarily have to always go through a distributor, stuff like that. It's, I think, one of the most difficult aspects that we come across.
Is your company mostly self-funded? Do you have investors? Have you thought about
Self-funded. I had roughly around $15,000 out of law school, and that was the $15,000 that I used to start this company. And I've been self-funded ever since then. I've had people approach me who, someone approached me about last year. They wanted like 60% of the company. And I was like, really? 60% for something that I've worked for 8 years? No, thank you. I'll just continue, doing this myself and growing organically.
those are tough ones. And your story again about your family situation, I think a lot of entrepreneurs face that. When I told my mom I was going out on my own, I had worked for large companies for most of my career. She was like, you?
Yes, it was.
And on the other hand, Elizabeth was like, go for it, man, go for it. And
Yes.
and of course I listened to my wife, and it worked out really well. It turned out to be my thing, and it really worked. So, but there are a lot of very practical thinking people out there that think that taking that kind of risk is foolish. But if you're lucky enough to have a supportive family, that's great. But sometimes you just have to plow ahead based on the confidence in your idea and your skills.
In the beginning, definitely it wasn't there, but now I've got all the support of everybody. And I also knew I was one of those people that I got fired from any job I ever had because I had such a hard time having someone tell me what to do. So I was like, okay, I need to make sure that I have my own business and no one can fire me. So that was something that also really pushed me to be my own boss, because I wouldn't last if I was working for somebody.
How much in sales do you have now?
We're over around 700,000, 800,000 in sales.
That's
Wow.
great. Congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. No, it was definitely a struggle to get there.
Obviously very well loved and popular then, if you're selling that much just
Yes.
alone. I mean, seriously. Do you have testimonials? Do you get rave reviews from people?
I did. So we were selling a lot on Amazon, and almost 4 or 5 years on Amazon. I had all these great reviews, but I accidentally deleted the account, and there went my reviews on Amazon. So I'm building that back up again. So thanks, Amazon, for that.
With that, we have to wrap up. But again, it is Cronuts.
Yes.
PRONUTZ.com for people who love pistachios. Anything your heart desires, you could probably find there, right?
Yes. Yes.
Great. So you are listening to Passage to Profit, the Inventor Show on WOR 710. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Passage to Profit. And this is our final segment of the show. If you've missed the earlier portions, check out our podcast. It'll be available tomorrow. It's on all the major podcast places, as well as the iHeart Podcast Network and on our website. So lots of opportunities to catch up on everything that happened this evening. And as our final guest, we have with us Angela Wolfe, and I can personally give her a resounding recommendation because she really does a fantastic job for the videos for our law firm. And we are using them all over the place. We put them on LinkedIn, Instagram, social media. She's got the magic touch when it comes to making people look good. So welcome to the show, Angela. So good to see you again. And tell us about what's going on.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the endorsement. I love working with Gearhart, and one of my favorite things about working with so many different types of clients is I feel like I learn from each of the clients I work with. And from Gearhart, I never even considered that as a service person that I would need a copyright or a trademark. And I started working with you and I'm like, oh my gosh, do I need to start trademarking, my tagline? Do I need to trademark my logo? So I feel like I've learned so much from you as I'm working with you. So I love being part of, Fireside and Gearhart Law.
As I said, we were shooting videos and in the upstairs of our studio here. And one thing that I liked about working with Angela was she gives us creative input, but she doesn't try to take total control. So she does things the way we want, but with her input, and it makes for a very synergistic experience. But Angela, one thing I really wanted to touch on in this interview is you are out shooting videos again, but you are adhering to strict COVID-related protocols. So can you talk a little bit about that?
My company is designed to work with corporations, small businesses, and entrepreneurs to create the perfect video for their brands. And even before COVID, we had I had set it up in such a way that we can scale. So based on your vision and your budget, we could scale the project up with more crew or scale it down to be very efficient. So that's really worked well as a pivot for COVID. I got Safe Set certified for COVID. So I've taken an online class. I know exactly, all the up-to-date protocol on running an in-person set to still be compliant for everything that's going on right now. And because we already were doing so much scaling, we can go in and just have a 1 or 2 person crew, just have your talent, and then actually do a live stream to the producers, to the clients, to anyone who normally would have been in the room to double check on, the content, to double check that the production's going well. We live stream them in now, so they can watch it remotely from anywhere in the world, which as Elizabeth was talking about for Fireside, really does open up possibilities that before you might have thought, oh, well, I'm not going to fly out to, California if I'm based in Philadelphia to do this shoot. Now it's all a little bit more possible since we're expected to be a little bit more virtual.
Can you give us some tips, since we're all on Zoom so much now, how to look good on Zoom videos?
Absolutely. I've actually started a live stream on Facebook every Tuesdays, and then I've been putting out blog posts on Thursdays on my website to talk about these fun tips about how to use Zoom and how to suddenly everyone's doing video themselves at home for work when you've never had to do it before. So some of my biggest tips are sit in front of a window so you're facing the window. That lets you have a lot of nice natural light, not kind of like a weird colored light. It gives you that beautiful, like, soft glow everyone's looking for. You're always going to want to use headphones, like I see everyone here using, because that way we don't get a weird feedback from when you're listening for someone speaking on the Zoom. It doesn't echo back into your microphone. And then, of course, if you don't have like a studio mic, which most people don't have just lying around their house, right? Using headset that has a built-in microphone is really great, because that way you're not getting the ambient noise of your dogs barking or your kids running around. The microphone's so close to your mouth and to the source that it can be quieter and only pick up what you want it to pick up.
Like, what are some of the guidelines if you were going to want to do something in person? Like, is it a certain amount of people? Like, could you share some of that?
Absolutely. So I'm based in Philadelphia, and right now I know for Pennsylvania, if you're doing anything inside, it has to be less than 25 people total. So that includes anyone who might work at at your building's office who's going to still be in the same room, right? So we want to make sure that it's as small as possible. We also want to make sure anyone who's not on camera uses a mask at all times. We do temperature checks before people come in to double check that no one's running a fever. You have them fill out a compliance form that confirms, they haven't gone to a high risk area in the past 14 days. They don't have any symptoms like a cough. They haven't been with anyone who's had any symptoms. And then, of course, we also keep the talent 6 feet away at all times from each other. So normally, Elizabeth and Richard can attest to this, that we tend to shoot very close together in a lot of spaces. But for this, We are now separating people farther away if they both have to be on camera at the same time. Even doing something where just the crew come in and do the setup and then everyone leaves except for the camera operator. And then that's when the talent, or that's when, the client can come in and sit down on camera. So you don't have a full crew, everyone in the room at one time.
That's really great advice. Lighting sometimes seems to be an issue with Zoom videos too. Do you recommend ring lights for the best overall video quality?
Yes. So sitting right next to the window is a free and easy way to do it. But then sometimes, it gets cloudy, or we had a giant tropical storm the other day, and that doesn't work very well. So ring lights are really nice, and they're actually designed like a big donut, right? And you're going to put your camera or your webcam directly through the middle of the ring, right? That's how they're designed, to kind of give you an even lighting. I'm actually using a little LED light that has a suction cup on the back of it, and it just suction cups to the back of your computer screen. And it just plugs in USB to charge it, and you can change the color temperature. Either a ring light or a small LED light is really great for Zoom. And I would recommend, if you want to get a little techie, which I always like to do, is to find one that comes in, it's called bi-color, and you can change the light temperature so you can make it match the colors, and you don't have all different colors going on and looking a little wonky.
So what do you think is the best background? I mean, we use this step and repeat background because it really reflects what we're all about.
We already have it, right?
We already have it.
So,
But for somebody doing a video, I mean, should they try to do a virtual background with their logo? Those seem to me a little bit strange a lot of the time.
The problem that happens a lot of times with virtual backgrounds is that you're relying on a computer or a camera to figure out what's the background and what's not. And that gets really tricky if it's not well lit, and if the camera isn't super high quality, and then suddenly, you disappear into the background and you're not there anymore. So I do love your step and repeat. I also love butter cloths, logos with the shirts in the background. Something simple, something clean. It's always great for branding to have your brand there. Like a simple wall, something that's not distracting.
Yeah, what is your self-care practice for yourself?
That is a great question, and I'm sure everyone can relate to running a business where you feel like you're doing everything, and it's really hard to turn your brain off of work mode, especially when we're all working from home right now. And I think for self-care is being able to get out of my office and sit down with my husband and a good meal, and have my dogs with me, and either read a book or watch a movie or something that I can just be away from the computer, because I do so much work on the computer, and I feel like I can't relax on there. I know I'm going to drift back into doing some work real quick.
So we are coming to the end of the segment, and Angela, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Can you tell people where they can find you?
Absolutely. So I have a website. It's www.angelawolfevideo, wolf like the animal, .com. Or you can also go onto bit.ly/AWV checklist. And that is going to be a checklist about how to do videos at home, how to start making branded videos, and all the questions you have about branded videos. So that's a really great resource. If you want to download that, it's completely free. And then that also has all my contact information. If someone's, reads through it and says, wow, this is a great idea. I know I need branded videos. I don't think I'm ready yet. I now need to talk to someone about it. So that's all there too.
Great. Thanks for that. You're listening to Passage to Profit. We'll be right back after this message. Well, it was an absolutely amazing show today, and I am full of passion, and I'm going to be putting that word in a lot of different places. I'm not going to change my password to passion, because this has been up now, and just about everybody in the universe could hack. I am going to use it in some other places too.
Yeah, I mean, I was just so pleased with the way the show turned out. We had a wide variety of things, but I felt like there was such a positive energy and positive spirit with the show today.
I really felt the same way, and that's always great to experience that. And I I really hope our listeners did too.
So we are doing this on Zoom, as you know, because we're in quarantine. It is being taped in August 2020. We do need to thank our wonderful producer at iHeartMedia in New York. We used to go into the studio and Noah would be in the sound control room and he would be adjusting everything. He'd run into the studio and tell us, no, you didn't do that right. And he would get perfect sound for iHeartRadio, which iHeartRadio, as you know, is very high quality. So they wanted perfect sound. So he's been running our show for us. He has been taking the Zoom audio, which is not as good as his audio, obviously, fixing it up as much as he can and putting these shows on the radio for us, which is amazing because it allows us to generate brand new content every week and really keep our fingers on the pulse of what's going on with small business during times of COVID and quarantine. So thank you, Noah. Thank you for working your magic. We do appreciate you. We miss you. I'm going to do a quick run through of the websites in case you missed them, and then we'll do a final wrap up. So Richard is Gearhart Law, GearhartLaw.com. If you have a question on patent, trademark, or copyright, or some litigation, somebody's suing you for patent infringement or what have you.
Or if you want to sue them.
Yeah. And our guest was Chris Pan with myintent.org. And if you haven't looked at that, just know that a ton of celebrities are using it. So if they like it, it's got to be great. But I like it. I'm using it. And then we had Dan Tran and Bob Stevens, who have taken the men's dressy shirt, maybe business casual is what you'd want to call it, and made it feel like you're wearing your favorite pajamas.
I'm itching to get into one.
Called Buttercloth. You can find them on buttercloth.com. And then we had Shauna Ahmadian, and although her name sounds like almonds, she's selling pistachios.
I haven't heard that one, but
I love them all, but she has had a pistachio business for many years now because people just rave about her different flavored pistachios that also have probiotics in them. And they're quite popular. You can find those at Cronuts, PRONUTZ.com. And finally, we had Angela Wolfe with Angela Wolfe Video, and she is a videographer and editor, and she does an excellent job. We highly recommend her. And I don't want to forget that Coach Kenya always joins us. Kenya is our iHeartMedia maven. And if you'd like to contact her, it's Kenya Gibson with a P at iHeartMedia.com.
So this is where I do my part, expressing my gratitude to iHeart Digital Media. Gearhart Law has been using the digital services for a long time, and they're absolutely great. They've really helped our company grow, and we want to thank her and her team. If iHeart is not just concerts, entertainment, music, they have a whole range of services, and Kenya is definitely the one to work with.
We appreciate the opportunity to work with you.
Let's start with Chris. Any parting thoughts for our audience before we sign off?
Yeah, the best way to tap into your word, into your intention, is the reminder right behind you guys, which is I heart. Put your hand on your heart, take a few deep breaths, and just connect with your heart.
That's great. Bob, Don, do you have any final thoughts for us?
It's just been an amazing group of guests today, and just so happy to be part of it. And everyone, stay comfortable.
Kenya?
Yeah, I just want to say the same. I felt like the energy was very good on this, show today, and I'm always appreciative of that. And I actually have a birthday coming up next week. So, Chris, I think a gift to myself is going to be one of your bracelets. I'm just a big, firm believer of starting a new year off with an intention, and I think that would be a nice little reminder of just to celebrate the occasion. So it was great to be a part of this conversation today.
Well, what a great tribute. I can't think of anything better. So you're listening to Passage to Profit. Everyone, don't forget to like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. This is Richard and Elizabeth Gearhart signing off. We're on WOR 710, the voice of New York.